Our consumer society has trained us to believe we're fundamentally lacking something. That self-love requires external validation. But the mirror of your inner voice has been reflecting back exactly what you've been feeding it. When you constantly reject the idea that you are enough, you're programming your own emotional GPS to keep searching for something that's already within reach. The beauty of this healing journey lies in recognizing that depression, fear of feelings, and that constant sense of searching aren't character flaws. They're signs you've been looking in the wrong direction. People who've learned to embrace their emotions and develop an abundance mindset have simply figured out how to stop outsourcing their sense of completeness. They've discovered that gratitude isn't just a practice, but an actual ingredient for brain health that rewires how we perceive our daily experiences. The universe guidance you've been seeking has been coming through your own intuition all along. Here's what the consumer society doesn't want you to know. They've built an entire empire on convincing you that you're fundamentally broken. Every advertisement, every beauty standard, every limited time offer is carefully crafted to whisper that same toxic message into your inner voice, that you're not enough as you are. When was the last time you saw a commercial that said, "Hey, you're already perfect, don't buy anything"? Never, because that would collapse their entire business model. The scary thing is how seamlessly these messages integrate into our daily practices without us even noticing. You wake up, check your phone, and immediately you're bombarded with images of perfection that make you question everything about your healing journey, that mirror you look into each morning. It's been trained to reflect back the voice of a critic, not someone practicing self-love. The beauty standards we've internalized make us believe we need the perfect job, perfect relationship, perfect meditation routine before we can start treating yourself like someone you love. Recent studies show that this constant state of not enough actually rewires our brain's reward system. The 5 love languages that work so beautifully in relationships. We've been taught to seek them everywhere except from ourselves. Instead of acts of service toward our own well-being, we buy products. Instead of quality time with our inner world, we scroll endlessly. The irony is that overcoming self-doubt starts with recognizing that the very system telling us we're not enough is the same one profiting from our pain. Most people get completely twisted up when they first hear about self-love because, let's be honest, it sounds like some new age nonsense that involves staring at yourself in the mirror saying affirmations. The confusion is real. Does loving yourself mean becoming narcissistic? The fear of feelings around this topic runs so deep that many people would rather stay stuck in their depression than risk appearing selfish. It's like we've been handed this powerful tool for emotional healing, but nobody gave us the instruction manual. The internal conflict becomes even more complex when you realize that our consumer society has hijacked the entire concept of self-care. Suddenly, treating yourself like someone you love gets translated into, buy yourself something nice. But that's not self-love. That's just shopping with extra steps. Real self-love is about developing daily practices that honor your healing journey, learning to embrace your emotions instead of numbing them. What makes this even trickier is that we've never been taught the difference between healthy self-regard and toxic self-obsession. The abundance mindset that comes from genuine self-love looks nothing like the performance of confidence we see on social media. When you truly understand that you are enough, you stop needing external validation to prove it. The connection with oneself that emerges from this process isn't loud or flashy, it's quiet, steady, and deeply transformative. There's this moment that changes everything. And it usually happens when you're beating yourself up about something stupid. Picture this. Your best friend calls you, crying because they made a mistake at work. And without hesitation, you're there with words of comfort. But then, an hour later, you make the same type of mistake. And suddenly that same voice turns into your worst enemy, telling you you're an idiot, that you're not enough. It's like having a split personality, one that's incredibly loving toward others, and one that's absolutely brutal toward yourself. This realization hit like a ton of bricks when someone asked, "Would you talk to your best friend the way you talk to yourself?" The answer was a resounding no. It's not about thinking you're perfect. It's about extending the same compassion to yourself that you naturally give to people you care about. When you start treating yourself like someone you love, everything changes. Instead of harsh criticism, you offer gentle guidance. Instead of fear of feelings, you create space for your emotions to exist without judgment. The beauty of this approach is that it gives you a practical framework for your healing journey. When you're struggling with depression or facing scary steps, you can ask yourself, what would I tell someone I love who is going through this? You'd encourage them to rest when tired, seek help when overwhelmed, practice gratitude when stuck in negativity. Studies show that self-compassion is actually a more effective ingredient for brain health than self-criticism, leading to better emotional regulation and stronger resilience. Here's the truth: nobody wants to hear about self-love. It's not a light switch you can flip on and suddenly feel amazing about yourself. You can't just wake up one morning, look in the mirror, and decide, today I love myself, and expect it to stick. Self-love is actually the byproduct of your relationship with yourself, and like any relationship worth having, it requires consistency, patience, and daily practices that build trust over time. The people who seem to have mastered this connection with oneself didn't get there overnight. They've been showing up for themselves in small ways, day after day. Think about it this way: if you had a friend who only called you when they needed something, criticized everything you did, and never celebrated your wins, would you feel loved by that person? Yet that's exactly how most of us treat ourselves. Real self-love emerges when you start treating yourself like someone you actually want to spend time with. It's about creating daily rituals that honor your well-being, embracing your emotions instead of judging them, and developing an abundance mindset that recognizes your inherent worth. Recent studies in neuroscience show our brains are literally rewiring themselves based on how we treat ourselves. When you consistently practice self-compassion, you're creating new neural pathways that make self-love more natural over time. This is why people who've overcome depression often talk about it being a process rather than a destination. You are enough isn't just a nice saying. It's a truth that gets reinforced through daily actions. Dr. Gary Chapman revolutionized how we think about relationships when he identified the 5 love languages. But here's what's brilliant: these same languages work perfectly when applied to your relationship with yourself. Most people have never considered that treating yourself like someone you love might require understanding how you specifically receive and give love. When you discover your primary love language and start applying it inward, that connection with oneself finally starts to feel natural and sustainable. Let's break this down practically. If acts of service is your love language, self-love might look like meal prepping or scheduling that therapy appointment you've been avoiding. For quality time people, it's about being fully present with yourself, maybe a phone-free morning coffee ritual. Words of affirmation: folks need to revolutionize their self-talk, replacing that critical internal narrator with someone who speaks to them like a beloved friend. Physical touch might mean taking luxurious baths or simply hugging yourself when you're having a tough day. And if gifts is your language, it's about thoughtful gestures toward yourself, meaningful tokens that show you're paying attention to what brings you joy. The beauty of this approach is that it makes self-love feel less abstract and more actionable. Studies show that when we align our self-care practices with our natural love language, we're more likely to maintain these habits long-term. When you truly understand how to love yourself in your own language, you stop looking for others to fill that void, which paradoxically makes you more attractive to healthy relationships. There's something profoundly humbling about receiving messages from people who are drowning in their own pain, looking to you for answers you're not sure you have, the weight of other people's depression, their desperate search for someone to tell them they're going to be okay. It can crush you if you're not careful. That's exactly what happened during a particularly dark period when the responsibility of helping others became overwhelming. The irony wasn't lost here with someone talking about self-love while simultaneously running on empty, ignoring every signal that screamed for rest and care. The descent into that deep, dark place taught some of the most valuable lessons about what self-love actually means in practice. It's not about having all the answers or being a perfect example of emotional wellness. It's about recognizing when you're not okay and having the courage to seek help. Those scary steps sometimes include admitting you can't handle everything alone, that your daily practices have fallen apart, that the mirror is reflecting back someone you barely recognize. What emerged from that darkness was a deeper understanding that self-love isn't a destination you reach and then coast. It's a daily choice, especially when you don't feel like making it. Studies in trauma recovery show that healing isn't linear. It's more like a spiral staircase, where you might revisit the same issues, but from a higher perspective each time. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to step back, reassess, and remember that you are enough. Even when you feel like you're not helping anyone, including yourself, here's the uncomfortable truth that most people spend their entire lives avoiding: Feeling is the whole point of being alive. Not the Instagram-worthy feelings, not just the joy and excitement and love, all of it. The grief, the anger, the disappointment, the fear of feelings themselves. We've been conditioned to believe that emotional pain is something to fix, medicate, or distract ourselves from. But what if that's completely backwards? What if our depression, our anxiety, our overwhelming sadness aren't problems to be solved, but experiences to be felt? The fear of feelings runs so deep in our culture that we've created an entire industry around emotional avoidance. We scroll through phones to avoid sitting with discomfort. We stay busy to avoid confronting what's really going on inside. We numb ourselves because feeling feels too dangerous. But recent studies in neuroscience reveal when we consistently avoid our emotions, we're literally shrinking the parts of our brain responsible for emotional regulation and connection with oneself. Your healing journey isn't about reaching a place where you only feel good emotions. It's about developing the capacity to feel everything without being destroyed by it. This is where the real magic of self-love reveals itself. It's not about creating a perfect life where nothing hurts. It's about becoming someone who can hold space for the full spectrum of human experience. When you embrace your emotions instead of judging them, they start to move through you instead of getting stuck inside you. The more willing you become to feel your pain, the more access you have to genuine joy. There's this moment when gratitude stops being something you have to force and becomes as natural as breathing, and it changes everything about how you see your life. Most people think practicing gratitude means making lists of big, obvious blessings. But the real transformation happens when you start noticing the abundance that's been hiding in plain sight all along. The fact that your heart beats without you having to think about it, that you can taste your morning coffee or feel sunlight on your skin, these aren't small things, they're miracles we've been trained to overlook. The shift from scarcity versus abundance isn't about changing your circumstances. It's about changing what you choose to focus on. Your inner voice has been programmed to scan for problems, but that's just an outdated survival mechanism. Studies in positive psychology show that people who practice daily gratitude literally rewire their brains to notice more positive experiences, creating an upward spiral that enhances their entire healing journey. That connection with oneself deepens when you realize that abundance isn't about having more stuff. It's about recognizing the richness that already exists in your everyday experience. Here's where it gets really powerful. When you develop a genuine abundance mindset, you stop needing external validation to feel complete. You are enough becomes more than just a nice saying. It becomes a lived reality. The mirror starts reflecting back someone who's grateful to be alive, someone who can embrace their emotions without needing them to be different. This isn't toxic positivity. It's about finding the extraordinary in the ordinary, the sacred in the mundane. There's a profound difference between being alive and actually living. And most people spend their entire existence without ever discovering what that means. You can have a heartbeat, you can go through the motions. You can check all the boxes that society says make a successful life, but still feel like you're watching your own life from the outside. Really living happens when you stop searching for permission to be yourself and start embracing the messy, beautiful, complicated reality of being human. The moment you understand that you are enough, exactly as you are, you step into a version of yourself that's been waiting your entire life to be discovered. The healing journey isn't about reaching some perfect destination where you never struggle again. It's about learning to dance with life instead of fighting it. Studies in human resilience show that people who learn to embrace their emotions and practice genuine self-love don't experience fewer challenges. They just develop the capacity to meet those challenges with grace and wisdom. Your depression, your fear of feelings, your struggles with connection with oneself, none of these make you broken. They make you human. And being human is the most extraordinary gift you'll ever receive. Here's what most people never realize: the universe guidance you've been seeking, the love you've been chasing, the sense of completeness you've been trying to find. It's all been inside you, waiting for you to come home to yourself. When you look in that mirror and see someone worthy of love, when your inner voice becomes a source of comfort instead of criticism, that's when you discover what it means to be truly alive. The search is over, not because you found what you were looking for, but because you discovered you were never lost in the first place. Here's the question that's going to change everything. After everything you just discovered, what are you going to do differently when this video ends? Because here's the brutal truth. You can watch 1,000 videos about self-love. You can perfectly understand that you are enough. But if you don't act, nothing will change. How many times have you felt inspired watching something like this? Promised yourself you'd start loving yourself more, and then went right back to the same destructive patterns? How many healing opportunities have you already wasted because it was easier to stay in the comfort zone of self-pity? I'm going to ask you some questions that might hurt a little. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and actually liked what you saw? When was the last time you forgave yourself for a mistake instead of mentally torturing yourself for days? Can you remember the last time you practiced genuine gratitude? Not because someone told you to, but because you really felt it. If these questions bother you, God, that means you still have the capacity to feel. You still have hope for change. The problem isn't that you don't know what to do. The problem is you're not doing it. So here's my challenge for you. Choose one thing you learned today and apply it in the next 24 hours. It could be talking to yourself like you'd talk to your best friend. It could be practicing one of the 5 love languages with yourself, or simply stopping running away from your feelings. But do something, because knowledge without action is just entertainment. And if you really want to continue this transformation, subscribe to this channel now and turn on notifications. I'm going to keep bringing you what you need to hear so you can finally stop searching for love outside and start finding the completeness that was always inside you.